And we're live. This is They Talk Funny, episode 65, with Janelle Niles as my special guest. Welcome, Janelle. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good today. Can't complain.
Doing pretty good. For those unfamiliar with Janelle, Janelle is not only a comedian, but also a producer and producer of Gut Land, which is a wonderful show, which is not only educational as well as hilarious. I think it is very necessary in this land at this time. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You are fairly still new in the game though, but you've been making waves. You started comedy in 2019. Is that
Yes, January 2019. Yeah.
January 2019, and then you get hit with the COVID lockout at the around the same time, or within a year. There's Now, what was your inspiration to start doing comedy? And want to welcome, the people, the viewers that are coming in. Thank you very much. Hit like and tell us where you're watching from. And if you've got a question for Janelle, you can always put it in the chat. And I sort of just talked over my own question to you. So
No worries.
what was your inspirations to get started?
I knew I always wanted to be a comedian. I had it in my blood. Trying to make my friends laugh. I would come off a little edgy or too dark, but that's where my that's where my comedy comes. But I remember when I was 14 years old, I actually had I wanted to be a class clown. No one laughed. It was just me, just me laughing. But I got one big pop in a high school assembly, and I'm like, there it is. That's what I need. But as a lot of women in comedy, we start late. We kind of need that, strong backbone, that support structure within ourselves to get on stage. And in January, I was like January 2019, I just turned 31. And I'm like, okay, if I don't start now, I don't think I'll ever do it. So I just wrote down what I thought was funny and got on Swizzles, and boom. Mom show.
Swizzles is a very fun room, very intimate room in Ottawa. I highly recommend doing it. It's been fun anytime that I've been there. Who were your inspirations? Who were the comedians you were looking at? You were talking about being edgy.
Well, back in the day, I was really big fans of Paul Mooney and Richard Pryor and Patrice O'Neill and Richard Jenny. All rest in peace.
Yeah.
And many more. It's those guys that just hit home for me because of that type of humor. There was that kernel of truth. I was like, I feel you, I'm there. And I was like, okay, maybe I can also find comedy within tragedy. And they really inspired me.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. There have been some discussions about Richard Jenny being anti-woman. In some of his material, but
until he meets me. No, I'm just joking. Until he meets me. No, I'm just
at least one of the arguments about Sam Kinison was he was anti a specific woman. From most of his jokes.
I love Sam Kinison.
He never generalized what he felt for specific people. That's for sure.
Go where the
food is. How have you evolved in the short time that you've been doing stand-up?
A lot. Before I thought, you go up there and you talk, and then people will, catch the wave. But it's science, really. I don't want to say comedy is formulaic. However, talking to people in a big crowd and getting them to understand what you're saying is formulaic. You have to be more articulate. You have to learn your pacing. You have to speak proper. And that's what I've learned from here to now is just having to talk to people on stage and be comfortable up there, get loose. Because I'm still up there and my legs vibrating and I'm trying to hide it and going and.
I just want to kind of bring this picture back on screen of how comfortable you look on stage, just sort of leaning over, going, actually, you look like you're about to school somebody for being stupid at that point.
Yeah, just lean out thank you.
Now, if I can ask, what was your career up to the age of 31? What were you doing?
I was a security guard for the last 7 years. I just took a leave. I quit my job in June, and I got a new job working in a warehouse. And
Okay.
I was a security guard for 7 years, and I was just like, I was just done being a bootlicker, done licking boots, clean those
Hmm.
boots real well, but I'm good.
A lot of people don't kind of understand that a big job of anyone who works security is to diffuse problems.
Yes.
And so that requires generally very good communication skills.
Hmm.
Do you think that added to
Yes.
maybe your stage persona or?
That's the backbone I needed to, like, being a security guard built my backbone how to tackle tough people, like from a woman having a bad day who's screaming in your face to the vagrant who you see every single day, and I get to like work. I don't spit jokes at them, I just learn to talk to all sorts of different people, because it's amazing how many people you meet as security. I could meet up to 500 people a day. I could meet up to 20,000 people a day, depending if I'm doing securing a gate at a music festival, or I'm
Mhm.
working in an office building that has a retail section. It just, you meet a lot of people.
How would you describe your onstage persona?
As Mike Tomafi would say, schizophrenic. I'm so new that I'm trying a bunch of new things at once, like staring at the audience in their eyes, or trying to do a character, or trying to be like, I'm always trying a bunch of little things at once. So it's kind of sporadic, but when I'm in that mood, when I'm in the zone, I'm in the mood. It's clear, it's clean, and I hopefully will bring that tomorrow at my round at the Yuck Yucks comedy competition.
Get, break legs on that completely.
Thank you.
I was. I'm trying to think. Is Mike Rosenfeld is there's a New York comedy instructor who pointed out that the only comedian that he's ever known who's managed to develop their persona in 2 years was Woody Allen, and Woody Allen had the benefit of an
Being
agent who was
Jewish.
wired in. Yeah, well, he was already writing jokes
Yeah.
for other comedians before he actually tried doing stand up, and he managed to get on pretty much everywhere in New York. So you kind of were put behind a barrier with the fact with COVID limiting the amount of stages you could
Mhm.
access for one of your years. So you know it's you're still new, but you're developing, and you're developing strong enough that there is a buzz about you outside of Ottawa.
Oh, thank you.
People are interested to hear what you have to say. Um, uh, so you say you can hit the clear moments when you're necessary on the right stages, but you're still trying out everything. Uh,
Mhm.
what what would be your goal in achieving like a persona for yourself on stage? Like, do you want to be a message comedian, or do you want to be?
Oh, I'm gonna burn my soapbox soon as I can. It's like, no, my worst fear is to become put in a box and be limited to just indigenous comedy. The message, like, I want
Mhm.
to be an indigenous comic, and I also want to be everybody's comic. I want to
Yeah.
be Princess Diana of comedy. um, so to further on your point there, I do not have a young Korean girl locked in my basement. So, just sorry, Woody Allen. I don't know. That was a
Right.
little late.
Yes.
I was like waiting for you to be done talking. We're just trying to put punchlines and things that are way fast. See, my timing is off. I need to
So
work on that.
you're hungry for stage time. You
Oh,
want to work on the new material. It's
yeah,
uh,
but my biggest goal is to get to the Just for Laughs festival, and hopefully perform at the St-Denis Theater. And I'll be a touring comic. That'd be the best. Just pay
now,
my rent and go.
I mean, the last 2 years, like this year, there was a limited Just for Last festival, but the big galas are now happening at the Wilfred Pelche
Yeah, I was
theater.
there on Friday. I went to the gala for Kyle Brownrigg and
Ah,
Paul Ribbenadadada. I can't say his last name. Ribbelascus.
I actually I missed it. I didn't go this year, but it's the I don't think they're planning on using the Centenny Theater except for solo French shows.
Yeah, I know. It's just because when I was younger, watching just for laughs, I used to tape them on
Filmed at the
VHSs.
beautiful
Yeah,
St-Denis Theater in downtown Montreal.
that's it.
Yeah.
And because I taped them and I watched them over and over again. It was always Saint Denis Theater. I was like, one day I will get there, hopefully.
Mommy, it's over.
Yeah.
That is the voice of Andy Nullman, actually. The Mommy, it's over.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Who was the CEO of Just for Laughs for a number of years.
Oh, the one that just rescinded his. Is that the one that just like he had to give it up in 2018? Is
No,
that the
you're
same guy?
not Gilbert Rozon, who's
Oh,
the
sorry.
owner of Just for Laughs.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Andy, very early on, like actually the very first English festival, he was in charge of.
Okay.
And one of the things that he did was sort of separate the English office from the French office. I mean, there's parts where there is crossover, but I think he was a little uncomfortable with Gilbert even back in the day,
Yeah.
and so he kept his staff insulated away. Granted, when it came to TV editing, there was the English, the English and French both used the same editors.
Okay.
So, yeah, this is way back when. If you watch some of those that say the St-Denis Theater, just check through the names because occasionally my
Sure.
name will appear in
Ooh,
the credits. Being
nice.
a
I'm
little bit
definitely
of
going to go look now. I love those little things.
it's only 7 letters and it tends to go by at that speed.
Yep.
So, now, what is your writing discipline? I know, like with COVID and the lockdown, there was more restrictions in Montreal than there was in Ottawa. So
Mhm.
you guys had everything open up a bit more. And for those new people joining us, if you have any questions, you can just plop them into chat. We can bring them up to Janelle. But what writing habits have you developed? Were you writing even through the lockdown period or?
Oh yeah. I was actually performing through the lockdown period. I did a lot of online shows just to keep my gears greased, if you will.
Mhm.
I write constantly. They're fleeting thoughts, but they're also fleeting premises. You don't know what's a joke until you say it in front of an audience. So either I'm sitting at my desk, I carry a piece of paper and carry a notebook and a pen wherever I go. And if I think of something, I write it down. Or if I put it in my phone, I have to like go through my phone and write down the premises on piece of paper because my phone, you never know, the phone could die one day. And I'm like, no, a joke, a bit. But I have like on top of my printer, I just have stacks of like premise. And right now, because I'm doing my minutes,
I have about
there you go.
300 of these. So,
Yes, exactly. That's a lot of jokes.
yeah.
Um,
No, they're usually the first 6 pages and then the rest is blank.
mm, that is exactly how it works because you're like, I'm just going to fill this up. Let's watch a movie. But yeah, so I just keep writing and writing. And because I'm doing the comp tomorrow, I've been really just hammering home my tried and true. And then after the comp's done, I'm going to start slipping in, sandwiching some new jokes and peppering a new set. Because I've been almost 3 years now in comedy. And I've been just trying to get that first 6 minutes clean enough to do the competition properly. And I think at this point, I can retire those jokes that I'm not like 100% in anymore, and then just like feed
Yep.
through. Yeah, because I have debuted some of these jokes on the summer solstice powwow. Some are on Facebook, some are on TikTok. So it's okay. They're out in the world. I can just do new stuff.
Brilliant. Hold it just a second. I just took a look at the time and it is
7
okay.
o'clock.
No, we're flying through this. We're flying through this. Okay. You mentioned that when inspiration strikes you make sure you jot it down. Do you spend time every day, or have you carved out a niche of time that you spend to expand those, or do you just do it as inspiration hits?
Sometimes, like I heard, like I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan. That ain't no secret. But he says, "Oh, you should like sit down and write an hour or a half an hour a day." I wish I had that. I don't have his what is that called? when you're good at something and you keep doing it.
A focus or drive?
Thank you. Boom. All right. I don't have the discipline to do that every single day. So when it comes to me, I can write like 20 jokes a day. I could write one joke a day. It comes in waves, depending if I'm on ovulating. If I'm ovulating.
It's the birth of a new joke.
That's it. It's so much. It's whiskey, man. It gets these lips loose.
All is good. That's Wafik that was pouring it for you.
No, he doesn't go near the stuff anymore.
No. All right. There is. What do you think is the most important thing? What are you looking at when you're forming your jokes? What is the sort of twist or style that you adopted?
I want to try to be as unique and true to myself as possible. I know I don't have the exact same life as everybody else's, but it's good to know that people can hear through my experience and through my filter. And I just kind of want that, I'm not George Carlin, but God forbid I just get a teeny bit of that, like, okay. Or like Hicks, Bill Hicks, like he had the same thing. They're like, well, they're not really comedians. They're more like ranting. I'm like, I found them funny as fuck. Like black people were dying laughing. Maybe you're all like, a little too smart, just a little too, But no, we were freaking dying. We were hitting tables. We were jumping up and down. We love that style of comedy. It's still laughter comedy to us.
Yeah. It's the same type of people who say, there's no real joke structure to storytellers, etc. If you take Bill Hicks, or if you take a storyteller comedian and you use like two highlighters and you just, what's a setup, what's a punch, you'll realize that that structure is there. So people who say that they're just ranting are just uneducated to comedy.
Hi, just 1 second. Sorry, emergency.
Yep. Oh, we have an emergency. Now, Janelle Niles, just so we can, I can bring this up. Where it is, we can hear people coming in over there. Janelle Niles at Janelle.Niles on Instagram and Facebook. She produces a show called Gutland, which obviously addressing Native issues in a comedic way, something that's very important in this country, has always been very important in this country, and it's important at this time above all others. So, I hear Janelle running back.
Sorry, my cousin's fiance just gave me an RSVP for her wedding.
Mazel tov. Hello, welcome. That is good news. Sorry, I'm a hopeless romantic. Half of that is being hopeless, but it's always nice to hear like people who are in happy relationships.
Let's open it now. No, I'm just joking.
What? I just got served. But so it does come down. Yeah, there is the ranters. Now you also stressed that you want to be as original as possible. Mm-hmm. Ottawa, I believe every city develops sort of its own flavor, which influences the comedians who come up. Ottawa is probably one of the most original. It develops some of the most original comedians out there. I mean, John Doerr for one, Harland Williams, Tom Green. We go to Jeremy Hotz, who
love Jeremy Hotz.
I love him too, and I couldn't understand why, but it's the persona that he projects makes everything so funny. Just
that nervous cringe. I'm like, I love it. I guess I'm a sadomasochist at heart, but I love it. So I'm just like, give it to me. That's what we go there to see. That's what we want. And also, I wanted to talk to you about that. Have you noticed that? Like a comedian who's there for the people who know the comics, like they know the headliner are there for the headliner, and then if you just have like a amazing comic who kills every room, who's always has audiences, goes into a room without an audience, like let's say Anthony Jeselnik, it can be hit or miss. Like you can be an amazing comic, but if that's not your audience and they don't get the fact that you're, telling a joke, it could be hit or miss.
Well, yeah, if people don't know that you're doing comedy, then yeah, it's definitely can be hit or miss. That I think that's the goal though of any oh, sorry, we just got Carl Pace is a sadomasochist at heart. Welcome, Carl. Carl's watching from Buffalo, I believe. So welcome. This is Janelle Niles, great comedian in Ottawa. I think the thing is there is a certain bit of culthood and fan building fandom. Thank you, which sort of helps a comedian, and that's one of the things that does come into it. But to be a good professional, you need to be able to enter comedy rooms and kill consistently.
Yeah.
And having people there that believe in you, that is great and that is helpful, but you need to win over the rest of the room as well. And yeah, I've seen situations where it's like I've seen, I won't say who, but I saw an A-list Hollywood person who came from comedy decide to, reinvigorate themselves back in stand-up comedy, their first love, and I saw them walk out to a standing ovation and end on golf claps.
Poor Martin Lawrence. No, I'm joking.
I'm not saying any names. That wasn't who I was thinking.
No, I'm just playing.
Yeah. But at the same time, you're right. There's certain styles of comedy that hit certain rooms better. There's a Canadian comic who lives in the UK now, who one of his big breaks was they filmed in Whistler. There was a special that I think it had Whoopi Goldberg, Roseanne Barr, had what's his name? Dennis
Leary?
No, used to do the news report for Saturday Night Live.
Oh, Norm Macdonald?
No, Dennis. Shoot, before Norm.
Oh, then that's past my time, honey.
Past your time. All right. Anyhow, so they're doing this big thing in Whistler. It's an adventure getaway show, and they did 2 nights of filming, and they had the same guy doing warm up who was a Canadian act, and the feature was supposed to be Dennis. Why am I blanking on his name? Anyhow, he went up there and he started doing American political jokes. First off, they're in Canada. The audience was generally under 25. And it was being filmed for Showtime or something like that.
Oh, that hurts.
Right.
Oh.
And so he shifted gears.
Okay.
He shifted gears, but what he shifted to, he says, all right, so not so much political crowd. Let's see how you like shit jokes. And then very intelligent, any kind of way you want to mention defecation, but it was sort of too much for what they were looking for. So they had filmed the opening act, the warm-up act, who was this Canadian Craig Campbell. And so to fill the time of good comedy, since Craig was from Alberta, he knew the area and all that. He does TV in the UK now. He's based out of the UK. He was just hitting wildly. Plus, he was young and he attractive. So boom, let's put him on TV, and that sort of helped him get his big break.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
When you said Whoopi Goldberg, nobody gives her enough credit, especially the character she put. That was a beautiful character that she orchestrated, and it was very unique. And a lot of people haven't seen that character. It's almost like that surfing kind of stoner character she would do. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so. Not Fontaine. Fontaine was the drug dealer who went to Juilliard.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm remembering.
No. She had a surfer character as well.
Oh, okay.
Her first big thing was the one person show that she did, and she honed at the Belly Room at the Comedy Store. The documentary about the Comedy Store covers that a little bit, but she was also doing it in New York, and there is an album version of that, which I don't know what happened. I think I had a copy, but I believe somebody pilfered it from me. But it was a very brilliant, and that's the other thing. Character comedy, like that's blurring the lines between stand up and sketch or just acting.
Yeah.
And
But what's his name? Andrew Dice Clay would definitely disagree with you.
What, he didn't get along with Whoopi, or
isn't it funny how the guy who played the Fonz went more Jewish, and then Andrew Dice Clay went more Fonz?
I think they both started at the same place, but it was
but they just went two different directions.
two different directions. And a lot of Andrew Dice Clay came out of fear as well.
Oh, I bet.
Because like when he was originally using his given name, performing stand up, he would get heckled with anti-Semitic call-outs. So,
yeah, I can only imagine what would that be like now.
Yeah, so especially with certain elements in the States. I guess those elements were always there, but they're more vocal now. Carl has just spoke up. He says, yeah, my brother on the border, Paul, we're basically Canadian as far as beer, hockey, and coffee, Tim Hortons. But we're in New York, so we're louder. He was on the toilet when we were mentioning Dennis. Oh, shoot. This has got to bug me.
If it's Dennis Leary, you owe me $10.
It is not Dennis Leary. He had dark hair. He ended up having like a political show that precursor to like Bill Maher's show.
Okay.
Dennis Miller.
Dennis Miller.
That bugged me. That bugged me a little too long to get out. Dennis Miller. But yeah, I mean, he still did intelligent shit jokes, but he shifted up his material from what he was used to doing because it wasn't working to the audience. And that's something. When Kenny Robinson was on, he was talking about having deep pockets.
Yeah.
Right. So if the material isn't working, you have other material to shift to that will connect with the crowd, help you fill your time.
I watched that live for what I asked the question too.
I was there.
I love Kenny Robinson. I watched him when I was very young. Same with Miller Crosby. And I'm just so happy I got to meet Miller Crosby and Glenn Foster in real life. They're amazing. I say these veteran comics, they're indirectly my mentors. They don't know that I am taking everything they've done and so far in stride, because if there's one thing I could tell any amateur aspiring comedian is look up to the greats, but don't meet your heroes. No, I'm just joking.
I've only had that really fail for me once.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Okay. What are three observations you've had that you've learned by watching your heroes, by watching the greats? What since you started doing comedy, so not prior to comedy, where before you actually kind of understood the game a bit more.
Seeing them live, like what I've learned?
Yeah.
Oh man, that even if you like as a comedian, even if you think you know every single word of your set, you're still human and still have tough days. Because as much as I've seen them murder and kill, I've seen like a joke fall flat and them take it well. I know as a comedian myself, when I bomb a joke where I miss a word or I kind of like crumble a bit. And another thing I need to learn, but they just plow through. And I love that about them. They have it in their head, like, oh, this isn't working, then that. And they have good, like 30 different jokes, just like in their head, just ready to grasp at any time. And I thought that was amazing.
Yeah. To pull from the Rolodex.
Yeah.
So that's one. Two more.
That you don't have to dress up every single show. I'm doing that a little lately, where I'm trying to like look really, but you can just like, you don't have to be to the nines. You know, you don't always have to put on a show. You know, you're that, I know that that's kind of like vague, but I felt, again, they just reminded me that you're human on stage. Because when you see someone on TV all the time, like I told you, I recorded all their sets illegally on VHS and watched them over and over again. So to me, they almost weren't real person. You know, they were just this. Every time you saw them, they were dressed to the nines. They were on it, no slip ups. So I think those things where it's like they're still human, and then you can internalize that because we have a fear of rejection inherently with humans, but to us seeing them, they're just perfect. They're like godly. And I think my third point would be just how they interact with people at a show. They don't talk too much during the show. Like, I mean, before the show, before they go on. And they don't get as hammered as I thought they would be. Like, oh, it's all party before a show, party after. Not at all. Like, I can see them just going in their head, going through the motions, getting ready to get on. And I also take that. I just like, those are the three things that I watch when I see those professional comics in my surrounding area.
Now, your second point is actually something that Kenny Robinson rails against.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because Kenny, well, the polite translation of how Kenny puts it is how I tell newer comics is to say, dress like yourself. Just dress like yourself on a first date.
I actually use that all the time. I do. And people are telling me I'm dressing up too much. They're like, come down. I'm like, but I feel, because when I feel like wearing I bought a suit and a vest to go with the pants. And when
you can see on your Instagram profile, so just
thank you.
The Instagram is there.
I'll be getting better pictures next time. I dropped my phone into a water pitcher and it didn't work that well. That was a beautiful night. But when I'm dressed like that, I have the utmost confidence. I'm on it. I'm just ready to go. I feel powerful, and any narcissist wants to feel powerful.
Most comedians do have those little rituals. Like, even I can remember in the late 90s, comedians picking the song that they need to come up to because they needed that song's energy. So when they hit the stage, they are into that moment of beat.
Yeah.
There is the unspoken rule, like Kenny's way of saying it is dress like you want to get laid.
Yeah.
You got to see, like, Roseanne Barr when she did the Tonight Show for the first time. She dressed up, but she dressed up as her persona would see doing it.
Yeah.
So she wore a blazer that was a bit like very loud pattern and a little bit out of date, and her hair was styled a bit different.
Curly, yeah.
And she chewed gum on her very first Tonight Show appearance. Which sort of it fit her persona, but it was you're not seeing her as she was dressed up to go to Walmart. You were seeing her dressed up as her persona would treat a special occasion.
She's a gem. I love Roseanne Barr, and I love what she did when she sang the national anthem. I was like, while everybody's booing, I'm like, you go, girl. Like, you show them. But to go on Roseanne Barr, it's just like my head. Oh, boom! You said Roseanne. I know something. Everybody on my reserve, at least, all believe Roseanne was an indigenous woman because she looks like us. Like, people think Lou Diamond Phillips is indigenous. No, he's Filipino.
I thought he was like 1/4. I thought he was
sort
of no. Okay.
No.
Because that was part of his like press release in the
Really?
80s and 90s.
Oh, okay, because maybe as far as I knew, he was just like Filipino and had some other ancestry, but I didn't think it was indigenous at all. But he does play one really, really well. Have you seen Longmire?
Yes, I have.
I love Longmire. They make him look 6'3" when he is like 4'1". Okay. That bar he was standing at was like elevated, like Tom Cruise height, you know? Love you, Lou, if I ever get famous. Hey.
I think probably the key is that he treated the role and the character with respect,
Yeah.
which is necessary. Now, the past year there has been the lockdown. You mentioned that you had been doing Zoom shows. There has been a lot that has gone on south of the border, as well as here in Canada. Um, Besides the fact the lockdown, which limited live shows, how has all of that affected you? And what do you think is some of the most important takeaways from it?
Well, I'm just jealous that we didn't get the apocalypse that they told us. I'm like, where's the zombies? Uh, I found comedy. I was sailing. As soon as like right before COVID hit, I felt I was going to be taking off with Gotland and just as myself as a touring comedian, getting really good, and everything came to a crashing halt. And if anything, it gave us a couple months to humble ourselves. And after that break, people are like, "Oh, let's do Zoom shows." I'm like, "Where's Skype?" And with Zoom shows, they're really hard. They're very cringy, if you will. But a part of me felt like I could be a YouTuber one day, just talking to the camera and blah blah blah. So kind of like put that in my perspective,
Like what
where
now?
yeah. Like, oh, a 13-year-old can talk to a camera. Why can't I? And I realize it's because they're putting on a persona. So when I get in front of a camera for, let's say, the Zoom show or just a sketch thing, I kind of turn it on and then go. And that's how I go through Zoom shows. I do that persona I'm trying to have on stage, but in front of my laptop. The hardest part is not hearing the laughs, not because they're not coming, but it's because everything's a little delayed. So, like, I've learned a lot of pausing because I used to just blah, 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 joke, blah, blah, joke, blah, and now I actually pause, let them laugh, soak it in. Right before they're done, get into your next joke. Don't let them completely stop laughing before you start talking. Sometimes you want the rolling laughter or something, especially with your tags. Who's really good at that? Jeremy Hotz. He's great. And him too, doing Zoom shows, like, he'll do them. He won't have fun.
He has a series, and a comedian who actually started in Ottawa, another comedian who started with Ottawa, likes to makes appearances as his stalker, Tracy McDonald.
Yes, I see him all the time on his streams. He's also I love Jeremy Hotz. Only if I was 20 years older. No, I can fix him.
The thing is, not all Zooms are created equal. There are some Zoom shows that have like people moderating. So they'll mute the people who are going, "Hey, can you get me a beer from the fridge?" Like, and the dog barking. Those windows kind of get muted, but the people who are laughing.
I've done a couple different tiers of Zoom shows myself.
Oh yeah.
I've produced some Zoom shows where I have like a licensed account, so I let a bunch of people in. Max we ever had was 30 people once, which is pretty good for a Zoom comedy indie show, if you will. And we've done to the highest tier, well, two highest tiers, the government. I did a show for Indigenous Services Canada through the government, and we had 120 participants, and it was raging. It was beautiful. And then we had the powwow, the summer solstice, and that was not more of a live Zoom show, more of a compilation of our acts that we recorded either live or in front of our camera.
Okay, and to put that, yeah. Have you been in touch with, say, Rodney Ramsey, who does the Unknown Comedy Club?
No, but I do see him when he does the Black History Month here.
Yeah, he does the Underground Railroad tour, which goes cross Canada. This year they did it virtually, but that's also a very cool show. But he started a comedy club that is virtual, so it's like a 3D animation comedy club with a 3D animated him as the host. But he has a number of people who are moderators. So they're taking care of the windows, and he has it set up so as a performer you're seeing yourself, but you actually get to see on a second screen. You get to see all the windows that are open, and you can hear and see the people
You
laughing.
see people like
Yeah,
moving. That's good because if they're not moving, they're not laughing.
yeah, exactly. It's, you don't know who might actually be having a seizure, but it sort of looks the same over Zoom.
Yeah.
Uh, now,
Have you done any Zoom shows?
I've done a few. I still have a couple coming up to do. I I've done one hybrid show which was quite interesting. I really sort of liked that one. But that was for the Calgary Funny Fest.
Oh, nice.
And so I was here, and on stage they had about four comics, and they also had about four comics who zoomed in. So there's a big screen on the stage, and so there was an audience that was there. And they introduced us like one of the live comics, and then they could see it on the screen. And one of the cameras in the Zoom was of the audience, so you could actually see like the audience laughing.
Nice.
It was quite interesting. Yeah.
At JFL, just this past Friday, I was worried that I have a cackle. I have a cackle laugh, and I was just like holding her back in, but still laughing. Like I was laughing more with my body than I was with my voice, just so I wouldn't ruin their audio. I used to actually date another comedian, which is taboo. Never date another comedian.
Mm-hmm.
And he has I called it a gas leak, but more so people would call it a hyena dolphin laugh. And it's so obnoxious that comedians will walk out of the room. They're like, oh, I can't take it. I'm like, he's just having a great time. But mine's been described to me as a cackle, and I'm like, excellent, which is cackle. I love that dark shit. I love it.
You've also in the past year, there's been like Black Lives Matter, which has happened around the world, not just in North America. I mean, with George Floyd and everything, bringing the systemic racism to light. Undeniably, if people still trying to deny it, they're fooling themselves or they're lying on purpose. And do you think that the lockdown, the fact that people were home more, that there was less in office working, do you think that helped bring it to light? As in, there has to be action now?
No, I think it was going to happen the way it happened originally, because it wasn't just, it didn't start with George Floyd.
No, it did not.
It was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
And I think it was just a coincidence. Like we knew how systemic racism, because I'm half Black and half Indigenous. Like my mom's like the Malcolm X, like one female Malcolm X. And so all the time I was just bombarded with Black history and Black, like our struggles and what have you. Even though I'm very native passing, I grew up in the Black side of my family. So I understand where all that comes from, and us policing ourselves and trying to be decolonized and dismantle these structures that were literally founded for us not to be able to break through. And like, no. I'm again, like I try to dismantle that kind of systemic racism with my Indigenous humor, trying to get people with solidarity through humor. That's what Gauntland, my Indigenous comedy show's mandate is, to express solidarity through humor. Kind of understand our side while we make you pee your pants. Win-win,
Definitely win-win. Now we're both from Nova Scotia. What has happened with the lobster fishery?
Yes, that's my reserve that was having the biggest stuff, the loudest voice, if you will, because they weren't allowing us to practice our inherent rights.
And there was violence that happened in that, and I believe things. Well, the white fishermen who set the fires have been charged.
Yeah, finally, after 2 years,
Fine.
we all knew who it was. Like we knew from the get go. It's just it takes a long time to charge
To
white
prove.
people. It just takes a little extra, especially when all your cousins are the RCMP. You know, just
Yeah, that's Lynn Alex is giving us some orange hearts over all of this, which I guess
thanks,
no
Lynn.
child, no child, no child, every child matters.
Yes.
Is
My
is
my great my grandfather was part of the residential schools in Nova Scotia, and my father was part of the Indian Day School, which was also run by the same people as the residential schools. It's just they took it from off reserve to on reserve. So the day school was run by the nuns, all that stuff, but on reserve. But there's
Mhm.
still same injustices. That my dad actually won a settlement for his trauma during the day schools. And the problem, I love my dad. Like he's still with us.
Mhm.
However, the past and the trauma and some substance abuse has taken a toll on him, and he is not the same person he was when he was younger. And
Yeah.
people say, "Oh, those kids they got sick, so they put them in mass graves. Now they tortured those poor children. They conducted experiments on them. There was sexual assault. There was beatings. They're just taking the Indian out of the child any way they possibly could.
Yeah.
And sorry, it got real gallows there, real sorry. Uh,
No, this is a piece of
yeah,
history that we should not ever forget,
yeah.
and we should be held accountable for. Your father's settlement is probably not enough.
Hmm.
There is but I mean, like, how do you put a price on someone's culture and childhood and
Yeah.
um,
It's like putting a price on somebody's
life?
brain, on their
Yeah.
body, on their life, on their, yeah, because that generational trauma flows downhill. And like, as much as I would say I'm a strong-willed person, I know I have I have some trauma in my blood, in these bones. And if I can express in any way, it's going to be through comedy, because that's one of the best outlets this day and age, where I know this sounds a little right leaning, but comedy is like the last pinnacle of hope for free speech. And I think I should be able to say it, say what I want on stage in a way that makes people uncomfortable, creates tension, then breaks it, and everybody bursts out laughing. Like, isn't like comedy supposed to be thought provoking? And that's how I feel what I do.
And free speech has never been free,
Yeah. No.
which is it's usually, you mentioned you were afraid of sounding right leaning. The right leaning people are the people who say, I should be allowed to say what I want, and I don't care what you have to say about it. Which
That's what I said. No,
Yeah, but no, it's the fact is that they don't want to listen to anyone else.
oh.
That's sort of like when was it Landry, Premier of Quebec, was confronted. He said a statement along the lines of that, we will continue to have referendums until we win. And then the natives spoke up. Well, we don't want to leave Canada, so if we have a referendum, we get to keep our lands and separate from Quebec. And he
Yeah.
says, no, that can't happen. So that's an example of those people who are, saying,
Yeah.
I can sing Nazi chant songs about killing people because of freedom of speech.
Hmm.
Sorry, just
No, it's like you have the right to say whatever you want, as
I
long
have the right to
as
call you an idiot.
yeah. It's just people have the right to respond however they want to what you say. Whether oh, everyone should know this history. Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the residential schools. I'm obviously a fairly white guy raised in Nova Scotia. I wouldn't know where a residential school was in Nova Scotia, but I knew the residential school systems in Canada, and I knew that they were horrible.
Hmm.
Just we never really fully comprehended how horrible among white communities,
Yeah.
and this was done in our name, and it is
Oh,
something
it
that
was done in God's name. It wasn't done in your name. It was done in God's name. That's how I see it. It was not done in well, I guess because they wanted to civilize us savages, if you will. But they did it with the cross and the Bible. And that's what they try to do to missionaries. Try to go to islands and get killed and like get arrowed, if you will,
yeah.
trying to bring a Bible to people who haven't been touched in hundreds of years. And you're not just bringing that Bible; you're bringing your colds. You're bringing your diseases with you. You're not just bringing that Bible. And a part of me feels it's by design.
Yeah. Is Niles, is that your father's last name?
It's my mom's. My mother. So my mom's the black side, and
Yeah.
our great granddad changed our last name because during the Underground Railroad, this is what I hear. It could be completely wrong. During the Underground Railroad, because we escaped the States, we changed our last name so we wouldn't be found. So it's Niles, a very English white name.
Right.
If I took my dad's last name, it would be Marble, but there's already a Jenna Marble out there, and I don't want to be.
Understood. I was just
Oh,
a lot of the natives in Nova Scotia actually have biblical last names
yeah.
because they hit the first front of
Yes, Paul.
missionaries. Yeah, Paul.
But if I took the indigenous, because my dad took the indigenous name, because he didn't, well, I guess Marble is part of, but it would be Silly like silly boy.
Okay.
And do I want to be Janelle Silly Boy? No, I'm Janelle Marble or Janelle Niles. I'm like, I'll stick with the Niles. Niles has been there since day one.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people have stage names, though, like in comedy. Sometimes I have to ask somebody, is this your legal name so I can pay them properly,
Yeah.
because I have an HST number. I'm just like, it's I'm not going to say their legal name.
The real name. No,
Yeah.
don't want. I mean, some people do it for safety, for family, for internet use, etc. Do you think with everything that's coming to light, the evidence that is coming to light now here in Canada, do you think that there is going to be a positive change?
I think there's going to be the change we needed 20 years ago where they teach the appropriate education in schools. Because when I was a kid, I was taught that what they did to us was a necessary evil, and they left the evil out. They just said it was necessary. So now, today, when they teach kids that it's not, it was not a necessary evil per se, but they were trying to do something good, but in a bad way. That's how they're probably gonna say it to
Yeah,
the
well,
youth.
when the Nazi Party pre-World War II came over and studied the residential schools program and used that as the basis of their concentration camps, I think it kind of states where it is.
Oh yeah. Like,
Now, when it comes to Black Lives Matter and in the States with the fact that Trump is out,
mhm.
do you have hope there? Do you think that there's going to be positive social change with these issues as well?
Well, there's lots of infighting within the community that needs to change, and then it can like spread forth because of unity. Like even in comedy, some producers or club owners or whatever have you back in the day used to just choose one person from a minority group and make them the golden child, then pit them against everybody else.
Yeah.
But in the States, the Black Pack, like Eddie Murphy and the Waynes and all them, they actually came together so that wouldn't happen. And that's what we need together in the States, is for every Black person from conservative to liberal to part of the LGBT community to cisgender straight people. Like everybody needs in the Black community to come together so we can be an unstoppable force. So once we destroy that infighting, I think we'll be an unstoppable force.
Here's to that.
Sorry to like repeat myself twice. That's the comedy no right there. Don't repeat the same word twice.
Yeah, but you were sometimes you have to sort of like hammer a little bit of a point. I'm just putting a little link down at the bottom if anyone who's watching this, or if you are listening to an audio podcast version of this, it is Linktree or linktr.ee/Paul Ash. That's how you can donate to support the channel. Going forward, what's your hopes for the next year? Have you booked up a big chunk of your year? Are you afraid of the third wave or
Oh, you mean the sixth wave? I know.
the sixth wave, fourth
So
wave, the Delta variant wave?
I'm not afraid of COVID. I do trust the health system, and I will be getting my COVID booster probably come January. Uh, I need to, for my own sanity and my own health. What is that word I'm looking for?
Be in front of crowds? No.
No, I just need to trust the system, if you will. There's a system in place that's been working for a while, and I think I can like the hospital system. I'm trying to say,
Right.
like even though Indigenous people, we haven't had the best relationship with the health services. I know that there's a magnifying glass on them right now, so they're not going to pull any shady shit as long as we're staring with the scope. And for comedy, it is what it is. Like a part of me, I want to tell the world what I have in store, but I realized every time I do, it either like gets dismantled or I self-sabotage. So I just have lots of stuff coming up. And hopefully, if you follow me on Facebook, I do take a follow. You'll follow my journey. I'm quite open and transparent, and also on Instagram. That's normally where I keep my my comedy center. If you want to see me go on full-blown tangents about how I felt that day, it's Facebook.
All right. So that's Janelle.Niles on Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing more of you as well. Get the chance to work with you and maybe talk about good things about Nova Scotia. At least you're in Ottawa where they have donaires.
Exactly.
Where we don't have them in Montreal. So
I keep forgetting to say this, but the only solace that I can take from the residential schools is knowing that some priest retired at his cottage, just like got spooked to death by like 100 like Indigenous kids. Like they found us, and he had a heart attack and died. That's the only solace I take. Sorry, just trying to make you laugh. Trying to make me laugh. That's how.
Yeah, I almost became a priest. I'm the youngest in a mainly Irish family, so that's the one you're supposed to give back. So
yeah, Nova Scotia was Baptist for us on the black side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this little lot of mine.
All right, Janelle, it has been an absolute pleasure talking with you. People know how to find you on Instagram. This has been They Talk Funny. My guest today, again, the amazing Janelle Niles. Look for Gutland 2. Is there going to be a Gutland 2?
Oh, Gotland is a touring comedy show. So if you want to book us, it's booking@gotlandcomedy.com, and we will come to you either Zoom or on the road if you're in Ontario.
Peachy. All right. Thank you very much, Janelle. Have a pleasant night. And